Hi and welcome to another episode of TRX Bench. Well, today here on the bench we have a handheld, so that is a digital one, DMR standard, so we can read it here. So most probably this is a TYT radio, TYT build. And it is sold under many different names. So, well, a normal China one, very cheap, you know. These radios are all around €100 or $100, whatever. So, let's have a look if we can do something for this poor radio. Because when you switch it on, you see that we only have a white screen, so that is all what we can see. And this is really happening to many of these radios, so I thought that might be a good idea to look after the problem and maybe if somebody else has this problem, you might be able to do it by yourself. So let's have a look what the problem really is here. And of course we have to take it apart to really get an idea what's going on here. The problem with all these radios basically is that we really do not have any documentation. I mean, there is documentation made or prepared by TYT, but sometimes it is very hard to get this documentation, and therefore we try to do it without any of the manuals. And well, on the other hand, you know, if you have a radio which is only about $100, then it is always questionable if it is really worth repair. But anyways, this is or will be done because maybe it is relatively easy to cure the problem. And if it is as easy as I hope, then that could be something what is helpful to anybody. Well, to open a handheld radio is more or less always the same procedure. So you have to take off, of course, the antenna. Then you need to lift the knob, and then the antenna socket, and of course here our switch is normally fixed here by something like this, which will hold it in, and then you have very often two screws which you have to take out, and normally then it should be relatively easy to lift it here out of the housing. And so you see it is coming, it is really coming up, but now you have to wiggle it very carefully, a little bit back and forth, and normally we should be able to pull it here out. So here is another washer, that is fine. And so here we have the rubber seal, and I've already disconnected here the ribbon cable. So let me take the camera out of the way to get a little bit closer into our radio. Yeah, here we can see that we are missing a little connector to disconnect here our speaker wire. So it is simply soldered here, this speaker to our main board, and I have now to lift off our display board. So that is what I try to get off, because maybe something is wrong with our display connection. So that is what we need to check, and therefore I try to get this PCB out of the housing to be able to do a better inspection. But before we go ahead, I recognized that the ribbon cable over here is not really in its connector. So it looks to me that it is really canted. So let's try to align it a little bit. Maybe that this is already the problem. Okay, so I have corrected here our ribbon cable, how it sits in its connector, and of course for testing, can we see it here? Maybe that way. It's a little bit dark. For testing, I have of course here our ribbon cable, our second one, connected back to the display board, and now only for testing it is easy to put it here on, and yeah, let's see what we hello. Yeah, so it is back. So my assumption was definitely right. It really lost its connection in the socket, so that was a whole problem. And I've heard it quite often that it happened to radios like this, and now we can be sure it is not really a serious problem. It is not an expensive fault. It is simply the little connector here in or on the display board. And of course I was interested in the question if this little connector down here is or has really good solder work, and I can definitely say that all the connections, all the solder work down at this connector down here is excellent. So we really do not have an issue down there. It is definitely only this ribbon cable. Yeah, it is a little bit short, and maybe if the handheld is placed to different temperatures, or if it fell down or whatever, so maybe that it got out of its connector. So that might be the reason why it lost connection. So everything else is just fine. I will now bring it back into original condition, and then that should be fine. And if it is working, then you know how you can fix this issue. Alright, so it is back in its housing. So I only need to put back here all the knobs and our antenna, of course, and here the belt clip, and so forth and so forth. But basically you see, yeah, it is definitely back working, and very important when you put it back together, don't forget the rubber sealing. That is very important, that not any water is getting into it. I mean, it is not waterproof, but if you're outside in the rain or what have we, then it is definitely good to have this rubber sealing. So don't forget to put it back. And yeah, now let me assemble here the rest of what we need to do, and then we are ready. Okay, that's it, already the end of the video. So that is the widescreen solution for TYT, Retevis, or however these radios are called or named. So that is a widescreen solution, and I hope that is something what can help you out in the same way I've done it here. Okay, thank you for watching, and catch you next time. Bye.